Hi, guys. I, of course, am the Legendary SMYLZ, and this is Cold Hard Cast. Today, I'm going to explain the problem that I have with both major political parties. Let's do the damn thing. So, when it comes to my political ideology, or what political party I guess I align myself with, I'm neither a Republican nor a Democrat. I'm not a conservative nor a liberal. I guess the closest thing would be a libertarian. All right. One of my friends coined this phrase, and I guess it applies to me too. I'm a reluctant libertarian because sometimes even libertarians kind of weird me out a little bit. But if I have to pick a party, I wouldn't say it's independent. I wouldn't say it's Republican. I wouldn't say it's Democrat. It's libertarian. All right. Now, the reason that I'm not aligned with any of the major political parties, the Democrats or Republican, the reason I don't align myself as conservative or liberal is because both of those two major ideologies has something wrong with them. It's both the same problem that both of those political ideologies have. All right. So here's my problem with it. There's two major problems. So both ideologies in both parties say, the people that are in those parties and the people who follow these ideologies, they say or they claim that they're all about freedom and liberty. However, they both have shown that they are willing to take certain freedoms and liberties away from people, or have the desire or the want to take freedoms and liberties away from people. And then my second problem is they don't mind using the power of government to enforce it. All right. So that's my two issues. One is their desire to take freedoms and liberties away from people. And the other one is their comfortability of using the force or the power of government to enforce the ideology onto other people. I disagree with both of that. One, I don't want to take freedoms and liberties away from anybody, especially if you're not harming another person. I stand by more of a mind my business philosophy. If it's not harming me personally, if nobody's vandalizing my property, injuring me, trying to hurt me, or defrauding me, I don't care what people do. As long as they don't bother me, they can literally do whatever they want. I believe in true freedom in that nature. And I'm also against, even if you want to do something I disagree with, I'm not going to use my power to force the government to do something about it. All right. That's my two major hiccups. So let's take liberals. All right. Now, liberals say that they stand for freedom and liberty, and they even go the extra step and say they're all about inclusion and tolerance. All right. They even go so far as to say that conservatives are Nazis. But if you look at the liberal track record and if you look at their agenda, liberals are more closer to Nazis than conservatives are. And I'll give a few examples. Like liberals say they're all about inclusion, yet they're more inclined to support a form of segregation. All right. Safe space is not included, but I'll give you an example. There was a liberal push to allow black students to have their own segregated dorms and to have their own segregated classrooms and segregated teachers upon a college campus. This was like recently too, like within the last 10 years. And they said it's all about tolerance and inclusion, but having a separate place for black students is actually segregation. All right. Another thing that liberals do is that they claim they're all about tolerance. All right. They say they're tolerant, but liberals are more inclined to support cancel culture. They're more inclined to support canceling books, TV shows, movies, songs, podcasts. They're more inclined to try to cancel celebrities or politicians or news pundits or whatever if those pundits and celebrities or if those people don't follow their ideology. All right, liberals have been shown that they are willing to destroy a person's livelihood if they say something or tweet something that they don't like. They would try to get them fired. They would try to get their sponsors pulled from. Liberals are more inclined to destroy your livelihood if they don't agree with what you're doing. That's closer to Nazism than conservatives. Liberals have tried to stop people from publicly speaking at college campuses. You know, I've seen this happen where somebody was supposed to speak at a college campus or a lecture room or something like that, and the liberal students will go and try to stop that person from entering the building or try to cancel the event altogether. They are not cool with people speaking publicly, um, whether if they disagree with it. Once again, that's closer to Nazism than like they're trying to literally stop free speech. Liberals, they say they're all about freedom. All right, but liberals are more inclined to support measures to take away your AR-15. You know, they say, well, there's no reason for you to have one, so you shouldn't be able to have one. They're more inclined to support legislation to take away gasoline SUVs and force people to drive electric cars because it saves the environment. Liberals are more inclined to support legislation that makes a person not be able to own more than one cars or more than one home. They don't mind the government having the power to tax the hell out of millionaires and billionaires or take resources from millionaires and billionaires and give it to other people, redistribution of wealth. You know, liberals have no problem with using the force of government to say, you know what, you don't need those guns, so we're going to take them away. You don't need that kind of truck or car, we're going to take it away. You know, I think I just saw a video of, I think it was in New York. It was somewhere where they lined up these motorcycles and the government used a tractor crane to destroy all the motorcycles because they say they shouldn't have them on New York streets. I believe it was New York. You know, liberals are more inclined to say, look, these people don't need 4 or 5 homes, so let's take 4 of those homes from them and give it to people that need it. These people don't need 6 or 7 cars, so let's take 6 cars away from them and give it to people that need it. This person doesn't need $80 billion, so let's take $60 billion from them because they don't need it. Let's give it to people that need it. You know, that's more in line with Nazi think than it is how conservatives think. You know, that's not freedom, that's forcing people into submission. You know, liberals say that the conservatives are the Nazis, but liberals are more inclined to burn books. Liberals are more inclined to take away a private citizen's right to own a gun. You know, liberals are more inclined to try to erase history by taking down statues, by changing street names. Liberals are more inclined to enforce businesses and sports teams to change their logos and to change their names. Liberals are more inclined to want to control language, just like the Nazis, banning people from saying certain things, banning the use of certain emojis, or forcing people to use languages like calling people by their preferred pronoun. Liberals are cool with having people arrested or lose their job because they didn't call a person by their preferred pronoun. Liberals are more inclined to stop people from praying in schools. You know, like they are more inclined to prevent a person's speech, whether it's on the college campus, books, news pundits. Liberals are more inclined to want to shut you up. That's more like Nazism than the conservatives. And we've all seen liberals are way more inclined to vandalize property or riot if they don't get what they want. If they don't get the results they want from an election or a Supreme Court ruling, they're more inclined to vandalize private property, throw Molotov cocktails through businesses, flip over cars. You know, liberals, I think they were the ones that had a whole city block blocked off in Seattle. I forget what it was called, but they didn't get the results they want, so they blocked off part of the city and just stood there and nobody did anything about it. Those were all liberals. That is more control. You know, liberals are more inclined in supporting giving power to government to regulate and control every facet of human life. They believe the government should be in charge of everything because if the government is in charge of everything and have the power to regulate everything, that everything would be equal and everybody would be on the same footing. Sort of like socialism or communism in a way. Liberals are more inclined. And Nazis, I think that's what they're called, the Nationalist Socialist Party. So since their ideology is more inclined to a socialism type lifestyle, and they are cool with banning books and banning speech and preventing gun rights and all that, they're more closer to Nazis than conservatives. Now, conservatives aren't off the hook either, all right? So my problem with conservatives is that they're way too involved. Like they say that they're about liberty and they say they're about freedom, but they have a very strict code of conduct. And conservatives have shown that they too do not mind using the power of government to force people to abide by that moral code. All right. See, where I break from conservatives is that, once again, they're way too uncomfortable in the intimate part of a person's personal relationship. A person's personal relationship. All right. Here's what I mean by that. Uh, Conservatives, they make laws concerning the conditions of people's marriages. They make laws concerning the conditions of other people's sex lives. They make laws conditioning what people would do with pregnancies, and they even try to make laws concerning how a person should raise their kid. Like, that's literally all the intimate parts of a person's lifestyle, and they abide by a strict moral code. And even though conservatives abide by that code willingly, they kind of slyly and sneak it into law to make other people abide by that same ideology. I give you an example. I give you a couple examples. It was the conservatives that were responsible for the pushback against homosexual marriage. You know, most conservatives feel like a marriage between people of the same sex should not be allowed. But my question was, why are they so concerned about what other people do? Like, if you get to enjoy the freedom of marriage, why can't these two people enjoy that same freedom? Why are you concerned about what they're doing, especially if you don't have to marry them? If you don't live a homosexual lifestyle, why are you trying to prevent people who live a homosexual lifestyle enjoy the same freedoms that you do? If you really believe in freedom, why are you involved in their relationship in the first place? That's kind of intimate. You know, conservatives are responsible for laws against sodomy. They believe it's a sin. But once again, why are you so concerned about what two people are doing in their bedroom? Why are you so concerned about the way two people, or more than two people, decide to have sex? It's their personal, intimate business. You know, this happened in Texas, and it surprised me when I heard about it. But conservatives are responsible for creating laws and making laws that limit the amount of sex toys that a person can own. But once again, why are you so concerned with a person's sex life? Why are conservatives so concerned with what goes on in a person's private home, in their private sexual lifestyle? Like, I don't understand why conservatives are so deeply concerned in how people decide to live out their sexual fantasies, their sexual lifestyles. All right. Conservatives are responsible for laws against prostitution. But once again, if two consenting adults want to exchange sex for money, why are conservatives so concerned about that? I don't understand why. Like, conservatives are responsible for laws against illegal abortion. But once again, why are conservatives concerned about what two adults decide to do, or why a woman or why a couple decides to do with the pregnancy? Like, that's that couple's personal, intimate issue. That's that woman's personal, intimate issue. Conservatives are more inclined to allow the government to take parents away. I mean, take children away from parents using the power of the Child Protective Services, or whatever it's called, the CPS, I guess. Like, they're more inclined to use the power of Child Protective Services to take children away from their parents, to separate the children from parents if they see or they feel like this parent isn't raising the child the way they think they should. You know, I think it was there was this couple, and these dumbasses, they named their children after Nazi historical figures. I think like one kid was named Hitler or something like that. I'll find it and I'll post the link if you don't, so you can understand what I'm talking about. Well, somebody didn't like that these parents named their kids after Nazi historical figures, and they had their kids taken away from them. So I'm like, wait, yeah, those are some dumbass names, but aren't parents allowed to name their children whatever they want? Shouldn't they be allowed to name their children whatever they want? So these parents had their child taken away. So think about that. Think about that. From a person's intimate relationship, from top to bottom, conservatives, they want their fingers in it. They want influence over that. And I don't understand why. Conservatives want to control who should be able to get married and who shouldn't be able to get married. Conservatives want to control who and how a person has sex. Conservatives want to control how a woman or a couple, or what a woman or a couple wants to do with the pregnancy. Conservatives want to control how a parent should raise their kids. That's literally every intimate facet of a person's personal life, from the relationship to their sex life to a pregnancy and bringing a child into a world to how they raise their child. Conservatives want power and influence to control other people's livelihood on that aspect. And I don't understand what their fascination or their obsession is with other people's lives. They want to make people they want to force people to live by this moral code that they have, but they don't understand that that is literally taking away a person's freedom. They say they're about freedom and they say they're about liberty, but not when it comes to your relationship, your sex life, your childbearing options, and how you raise your child if you choose to have one. You know, that's so. All right, conservatives. They say they're about freedom, and they say they're about liberty, but they're very selective about it. And they do have their own personal bias, and that personal bias does, once again, all reflect back to their personal moral code. Yet, not everybody believes in their moral code, but they want to use force to, and will use the power of government to force people to abide by that moral code. So, I'll give you a couple of examples. Conservatives will protect the livelihood of a football coach that prays on a 50-yard line before and after a football game. I completely agree with that. You know, yeah, this guy's expressing his freedom of speech, his freedom of religion, his freedom of expression. It's not taken away from the football game. If he wants to take a moment to say a quick prayer and he's not forcing people to pray with him, you know, he goes on the 50-yard line, invites people to pray with him before the game. They say a quick prayer, boom. They do it after the game, say a quick prayer, boom. No harm, no foul. Everybody goes home. Nobody's hurt, harm, or injured. I have no problem with that. You know, some people want to get this guy fired. Conservatives wanted to protect this guy's livelihood. I agree, protect his livelihood. But then again, conservatives will also try to destroy the livelihood of somebody who kneels during the national anthem at the same exact football game. Praying on the 50-yard line, thumbs up. Kneeling during the national anthem, thumbs down. Once again, it's the same basic concept: freedom of expression, freedom of speech, but it's a selective bias when it comes to those beliefs. They believe freedom for one, but they don't believe freedom for the other when it's exactly the same concept. Conservatives, they wouldn't mind a person exercising their right to open carry in public. You know, a conservative will see a guy shopping, and this guy might have a gun holstered on his side, or maybe even a long rifle strapped to his back, and he's pushing the basket just with a firearm in public, open carry. You know, some people might be scared of that and have a problem with that. Conservatives would defend him and say, no, he's just exercising his Second Amendment right. It'd be one thing if he came in with the gun in his hand and started blasting people, but if it's holstered at the side, or if it's strapped to the back, if it's secured correctly, knock yourself out. You know, it's his Second Amendment. Conservatives would not have a problem seeing a person in a grocery store with a firearm. Those same conservatives will get up in arms if they see a guy with their pants sagging, or a girl with very high shorts on, showing their butt cheeks. Conservatives will go outraged. Oh, you shouldn't be out in public like that. Oh, I can see his boxers. I can see that woman's butt cheek. Oh, no, that's indecent exposure. Have him arrested. Once again, same basic concept. You're looking at, like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see a person's underwear either. I don't want to see a guy with his pants sagging, but I'm not going to have the guy arrested. It'll be one thing if the dude had his butt all out and you could see his actual ass and his giblets. Yeah, that's indecent exposure. But if the guy has on boxer briefs under that and you just see his underwear, man, let this guy, don't just ignore it. Just ignore it, but not conservatives. No, you need to be arrested. We don't need to be seeing that. I'm okay with the guy with the AR-15 on his back, but I'm not okay with that guy showing me his underwear. Oh, have him arrested. My concept of freedom goes way beyond the liberal concept of freedom, or what they think freedom is. My concept of freedom goes beyond what conservatives think is freedom. All right. I believe in individual freedoms. I believe in individual rights. I think a person should be able to do whatever the hell they want to do as long as they're not harming anyone else. That means I have to accept that people are going to do some things that I think are stupid. That means we have to accept that people are going to make bad decisions. We have to accept that freedom and liberty isn't pretty to look at when you see somebody else exercising it. They may do something that you don't like, but if it isn't affecting you or your property or your body in any way, shape, or form, you just have to let that slide. Or you should want to let that slide instead of forcing them to abide by your morality code or forcing them to abide by your ideology. All right? I'm okay. I'm completely okay and I support laws against murder, laws against rape, laws against physical assault, laws against theft, laws against vandalism and destruction of property, and laws against fraud, right? The reason I support those laws is because all those laws affect another person. There is a victim. When you murder somebody, you kill somebody, right? When you rape somebody, you assault them physically. When you physically assault somebody, you injure them. You take somebody's livelihood away when you vandalize their property or when you take something away from them. Or if somebody loses resources because you frauded them and you lied to them about the conditions of whatever deal you guys made. Yeah, all that affects another person. I'm completely okay with laws against that. But when it comes to the rest of these laws that don't really have a real victim because they're self-induced. Laws against gambling, I'm not cool with because a person should be able to do whatever they want with their money. Laws against drug use, I'm not really that okay with. I mean, I get that drugs are bad, but a person should be allowed to do whatever drugs they want. The government or me or you should not be able to tell anybody what they should be able to do with their bodies. If a person wants to smoke weed, he should be able to. If a person wants to drink beer, they should be able to. If a person wants to smoke cigarettes, chew tobacco, if a person wants to take ecstasy or Molly or mushrooms or LSD, if a person wants to inject heroin into their veins, if a person wants to sniff coke and do crack, it's their body. They should be able to, right? My body, my choice. That means I shouldn't be mandated to have to take a vaccine, or nobody should be forced to carry a baby to term. You know, that's why I'm pro-life. I'm anti-vaccine mandates, and I'm all for drug use. Why? Because a person should be able to do what they want to do with their body. And I want to quantify that drug use thing. I'm not saying people should go out and do it. I'm not saying that it's not a terrible thing. Drug addiction is a bad thing. It's horrible, but it should be a person's choice if they want to. A person should be able to drink bleach if they want to. I'm against laws against prostitution. If two consenting adults want to engage in trade resources for sexual pleasure, I'm completely okay with it. That's their choice as an adult. There's no victim there. There's no victim. All right, I don't believe in victimless crimes. What else? Like, if a person wants to destroy their own property, I'm okay with it. If you see a guy, you know, he's taking a bat to his own car, he's taking a bat to his own windows at his house, that's that man's property. He should be able to do what he want to do. And I should put a disclaimer out there. When I say a person should be able to do what they want to do, I mean a person of sound body and mind. A person that has all their faculties. Now, if somebody has a history of, what's the PC term? Mental disabled, I want to say, mentally disabled. Like he has a history of some mental disease. He's not cognitively there. Yeah, we should make laws to protect that person because that person doesn't necessarily know better, have CNAs available, have RNAs, whatever. If it's clear that the person is a little slower than others or doesn't necessarily have it all, okay, yeah, let's protect that person. But just the average Joe Blow citizen who goes to work every day, makes money, he wants to blow it all off on a trip to a casino, or he wants to buy a kilo of cocaine and snort it all in his house. If he wants to blow it all on prostitutes, he should be able to. Yeah, all those are bad. All those are immoral, but it shouldn't be our business. That's what liberty is, right? That's what freedom is: the ability to make bad decisions without anyone stopping you, the ability to live by your own creed and ideology without anybody forcing it onto you. As long as you're not harming another person, knock yourself out. But once you cross that line and start harming other people, like I said, I think a person should have the right to get drunk. But if you're drunk and you start to drive and you kill somebody, yeah, bye. Throw the book at you. You harm somebody. You know, I believe a person has the right to do all the drugs they want. But if they do all the drugs and they go out and start eating people's faces like they did when it was on the bath salts, when it gets to that level where you start harming people and you start like beating up people at your house, domestic abuse and all that because you got too drunk or too high, yeah, throw the book at that guy because they're harming other people. But if you just mellowed out or if you have a bad trip and nobody's harmed, screw it. Screw it. And that's my problem I have with both of the major political ideologies. At some point, they feel like it's up to them to step in and do what they think is better for other people and enforce, their ideology onto other people. These people think saying somebody by their unpreferred pronouns is a bad thing. Now they want to arrest you and take your livelihood away because you said the wrong pronoun. These people think that it's indecent exposure or it's bad to do sex a certain way. Sodomy or two dudes want to get married or whatever, and they want to take those rights away from them. I'm not down with that either. That's not freedom. That's not freedom. All right. Anyway, I, of course, am the Legendary SMYLZ. Thank you for participating and watching and listening to the Cold Hard Cast. What is that song? There's a mic check. Yeah, it just started raining, so I'm not sure if that static I'm hearing is microphone feedback. I hope I didn't talk too loud within the microphone. I don't know. But anyway, follow me on social media. On Twitter, it's ChrisCoben957. Instagram is Smiles on Stage. That's spelled SMYLZ. Follow me on YouTube. I really have to figure out what that sound is. It's starting to disturb me. Let me see. Here's a test. Is that electrical static from the lightning, or is it me talking? I'll figure it out. Anyway, alrighty then, guy. Bye-bye.